Happy to see you, even despite the enchantment of the networking and the coffee break outside. Welcome to our distinguished panelists today, and we will talk a whole hour on the storage and how it can help renewable energy reach up the next level of development, because for me, finding the right solution to store renewable energy is the key to integrate more of it in our markets and our grid. I will let each of our participants present themselves and say a few words about who they are, what they do, how did they decide to get on this panel. So maybe starting from our first speaker, Sepehr.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sepehr Soltani. I work in the Rystad Energy. So basically what I do in Rystad is trying to kind of monitor the energy storage market and see, okay, where is the best profitability sitting for the energy storage? What are the challenges and what are the risks for the energy storage projects globally?
Excellent.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for inviting Jinko Solar for participating in this interesting event. I'm Lucia Dolera. I'm the Business Development Manager for storage systems at commercial, industrial, and utility scale in Jinko Solar. And well, why I'm here, I would like to participate and to tell you, I think this panel answers quite a lot of questions that has been commented in the previous panels. So a lot of issues, the solution we can provide within this panel. So I'm really pleased as a manufacturer of BESS systems, to provide you with information and how the solution can be reached for the unbalanced situation that we are facing in Europe with the renewables.
Hello, my name is Georgiev, and I'm CEO of the National Electricity Company, which is the owner and operator of most of the large hydro power plants in Bulgaria. This includes also pump storage power plants. So currently we are supplying the National Electricity Company most of the storage and system services in Bulgaria. So we also, to a large extent, with our production, flexible production, we support the integration of renewables, and it will be my pleasure to discuss these topics today.
Thomas Gulden, I'm with Siemens Energy, based out of Germany. I'm quite sure you've come across our company, since we're covering pretty much the whole energy value chain, if you think from generation, distribution, with, let's say, 4 distinct segments on the conventional power generation, grid technologies, the whole transformation of industry topic, as well as with Siemens Gamesa, our wind business. I'm part of the energy storage team, so I'm quite pleased to be here today. Thanks for the invite, and looking forward to this discussion.
And last but not least.
Yeah, hi. My name is Michal Kalousek. I'm representing here the company Photomate, which is part of Smart Energy Holding Group. We are active actually in 25 countries, have subsidiaries in 15 countries, and I'm really excited to be here. It's really exciting, the event, and for me personally, because I started here to do business like 12 years ago, and for me it's really great to meet the people again and see how much everything changed, including Sofia. It's a really nice city, and yeah, I'm glad to be here, and I would like to tell you a little bit how Photomate developed since we started as distribution company and how we go towards solutions and technological company now.
Absolutely, Mikkel. Taking a cue from your line, the market has changed significantly in CE over the last few years, I would say. So before we open the discussion, I would like to invite Sepehr from Rystad Energy. He's done a little research and a little bit of nice graphs to show with the presentation. So he will do the intro for our panel, telling us what are the latest market trends and how to read this data, actually.
Thank you so much, Maria. So we can start jumping to the kind of slides and see what is the latest situation in the whole Europe. So within the power mix, once we are seeing in the energy transition, it's happening in the continental Europe. Basically, solar and offshore wind are the main growth driver for the energy transition in the whole Europe. And as you can see in this slide, solar is kind of having the largest chunk of the power mix in the future. But if we divide the whole continental Europe to the 3 different regions, we can see each regions have its own specifications and they kind of have a different power mix plan. Let's start from the eastern part of Europe. What we are seeing the eastern part of Europe is that we are having a quite good amount of nuclear as a starting power generation for the base load, which can kind of change the story once we kind of compare the Eastern Europe to the other part of Europe. I will go back to that one. At the same time, once we look at the solar, as we expected, solar has been started growing. But then once comes to the kind of flexibility options, there are probably not very positive stories in terms of having the flexibility option in terms of the import and export of power, or maybe having the energy storage being installed in the region. What we are forecasting is that the battery energy storage system, or in general energy storage solution, can start ramping up by let's say, end of the decade, close to 2030. But the situation in terms of the energy storage deployment in southern part of Europe is slightly better. For example, there are some battery energy storage projects being materialized in Italy, but still to see the whole energy storage system ramping up in the southern part of Europe, still we need to kind of wait for, let's say, 3 to 4 years to see the incentives coming online and the project developers are starting to think about implementing battery energy storage system. But within these 3 regions, western part of Europe has a slightly better situation. There are already some battery energy storage projects being operational in UK and Germany, but still there is not enough if we kind of consider the amount of the solar and the offshore and onshore wind, which are going to be installed in the power mix and bring the lots of, let's say, intermittency issues. There is still lots of work to kind of work and install battery and storage system. But to kind of continue, I would like to kind of start with a slide and kind of grab your opinion about what's the main challenge that we are seeing in the south part of Europe that is resulting for the batteries to be ramped up. I guess it should be...
If we could put the Slido poll now. What is the main challenge for battery storage project installation to ramp up in Southeastern Europe, in your opinion? We may gather the answers and perhaps discuss at the end, so you feel free to continue. And you look at the Slido and try to let us, what's your view on what is the main challenge for battery storage project installation?
So basically the question has 4 options. One of them is the uncertainty about the revenue for the battery storage. The second one is that if current upfront cost of battery storage is high enough and it kind of results in hesitating to invest in the battery energy system. The third option is that there is not, let's say, local supply chain. And the fourth option is that, in your opinion, there's not, let's say, solid technology within the batteries currently. So there's going to be some improvement coming. But here, from now on, I'm trying to kind of start showcasing the analysis that we have done, which shows that there is a good opportunity for battery energy storage business. For example, this chart is talking about the day-ahead power prices in 2023, and we're trying to kind of start from the simplified revenue stream for the battery, which is going to be energy arbitrage. So by energy arbitrage, we mean that we're going to charge the battery during the lowest power price, and we try to kind of discharge the battery during the peak times, which result to gain the more money. And doing this for all the European power markets in 2023, this chart shows the result. And as you can see, the whole bar chart is talking about how much revenue we can get by selling the power from the battery during the peak hours. And to do the energy arbitrage, we need to make sure that the battery is being charged. And at the same time, for this analysis, we have assumed we are charging the battery from the grid. So we need to pay some money, which is going to result in reducing the whole profitability. But then the solid line shows the actual profit that we can gain in each market. And to make a comparison about, okay, we want to see which market is net positive and profitable, we have defined the system cost here. Basically, system cost is talking about how much money we have invested to have the energy storage system in place per cycle. And if the revenue or absolute profit that we're gaining is above this line, it means that this market is net positive. Or if it's below this line, it means that energy arbitrage by itself, it's not going to be profitable. So probably we need to include the other revenue streams like participating in frequency market and make the whole project profitable. But we know that based on the project specification, duration, and etc., the price is going to be different, and that's why we have defined a range for the system cost. But the whole conclusion here is that if you look at the whole European markets, we can see that Eastern European markets has a better opportunity in terms of the energy arbitrage. And more specifically, once we look at the Bulgaria and Greece, which are in the southeastern part of Europe, they are within the top 5 battery markets. The other, let's say, signal that we are seeing in the market that kind of help us to start investing in battery energy storage could be seeing the high solar installation. And as a result of that high solar installation, we are seeing low capture price happening in the market. And this is not only being happen in, let's say, southeastern part of Europe, but also we are seeing that in Germany as a kind of leader in investing in renewables, still the low capture price for solar is happening. One of the solutions to kind of fix this problem is to install batteries and coupled batteries with the solar farm, which is going to result in a battery, which is going to result in that specific asset to produce energy during the evening. So by doing that, we can kind of sell the power during the time that sun is not shining by discharging the battery. And in total, we can gain more profit from the whole asset, which has battery and the solar together. And we talked about the energy arbitrage opportunity, which is purely based on the liberalized power market, low price during the morning and high price during the afternoon. And once we kind of put the picture of low capture price and the idea to adding the battery to the solar farm, we can see that these two pictures really fits to each other and makes the battery energy storage as a most, or let's say, solution for the problem that we are facing. For example, here we can gather the day-ahead prices for selected market. And as you can see, the usually prices are quite low during the morning and we can charge the battery. And during the evening, once we want to kind of leverage from the energy arbitrage and discharge during the peak hours. At the same time, that's the time that the solar power is not generating, or let's say the sun is not shining, and we can kind of start generating the energy from the battery, and in total increase the revenue for the whole solar and battery project. And in total, if I want to kind of conclude what is happening in the energy storage market, the good news is that what we are seeing is that the whole capex cost for the batteries are declining, and it's enriched that we have a $200 per kilowatt hour as the capex for battery energy storage system by end of the decade. At the same time, there is a massive demand for battery energy storage. What we are seeing is that there's going to be more than 2 terawatt-hour cumulative battery energy storage installation by end of the decade. And even better news is that what we are forecasting, what we expect to happen about the power prices, is that there's going to be a power volatility. The power volatility is going to stay with us for a quite amount of years. And again, this power volatility is fitting the best with the times that there's no sun shining, and we can kind of increase the low capture price and prevent the cannibalization of the solar assets in the Europe as well. And again, you remember that I talked about that nuclear part of generation, that nuclear assets kind of secures this, let's say, power price volatility to happen in the south part of Europe. Because once we have the nuclear power plants wants to beat the power price generation, they're going to stay online throughout the year. So they need to be low during the morning to compete with the solar, and the afternoon to sacrifice, or let's say to recover their loss during the morning, they're going to be higher, which makes this power price volatility, which is the sweet spot for the batteries. That was the last slide. Yeah, thank you for attention. And
so Bulgaria and Greece seem to be like a sweet spot for the batteries. And turning from market maybe on the capex side, I will give the floor to Lucia. Jinko is a brand mostly famous for solar panels, but now you turned also manufacturer of battery energy systems. Can you let us know what was the incentive? How do you see the market developing in terms of cost of batteries? And what can we expect in Southeastern Europe with these sweet spots? Can we expect more activity?
Thank you for the questions. Yes, Jinko Solar is known of one of the top manufacturers of PV panels. And well, within the last 3 years, let's say, we were analyzing how the demand market trends was moving. Like most of the countries are looking for energy independence every time that it's not really good to depend on another countries that has several uncertainties in the point of politician issues. And also, well, the objectives that we have to face for 2030 and 2050 about decreasing the consumption of fuel fossils, also, and well, the grid stability. So all these things and also the unbalanced situation that we are facing with such an amount of renewables in our electricity system are happening that we are facing like a lot of curtailment situation that is not really very welcome for the promoters or those that has invested in the renewable installations. And, well, the volatility of the prices that, well, most of the recent ones, installation of renewables goes to merchant, and they expect to have a incentive from the energy that they send to the grid. And now we have quite a lot of time, at least in quite a lot of countries in Europe, in Spain, for example, quite a lot of time during the day we have zero prices for the electricity price. So with this unbalanced situation, we thought that that Jinko Solar was very comfortable with the innovation, and we have a huge knowledge of technology. So we wanted to profit this knowledge. In fact, I would like to share with you that we have almost 2,300 people in R&D. So for us, it's very important to put a good product in the market with reliability and cost efficiency.
Having a good product is key, but you know, in Southeastern Europe, price is king.
Yes, yes,
So,
I'm moving to that. I'm moving
touch
to that.
a little bit on that.
Yes, of course. So I think we had all the ingredients to face a good CapEx. So yes, of course, for us it's really, really important. So seeing all this situation, we went for invest in BESS. So 1 year ago, we started with our factory, and then in 3 phases, we will reach in 2025 to produce at almost 24 gigawatts hours storage capacity. So in different phases, we will reach that amount of capacity for BESS. So, of course, CapEx is the important issue, for sure. So,
how do you expect it to evolve from its current level next couple of years? All this manufacturing capacity that is coming online, how do you see it in terms of, you know, price levels?
Well, I have to say that I started 1 year ago in Jinko Solar, and the offers we started 1 year ago has decreased almost 45 up to 50%. So the huge effort that we are doing with reducing the price is huge. Also, we provide. That's why I was telling you that the effort that for Jinko does in R&D, because we want to improve of chemistry, we want to improve our
all the different small bits that at the end bring the price for buyers.
Well, the price, I think, is not going to be so decreased so high as has been in the last past months, but the tendency is still decreasing. And well, but we have to face with the cost of the raw materials.
Quite the good news
also.
for everyone in the room, I think. May I include Mikkel here, because price, of course, is important, but generating revenue from the assets, it's a different story. So from your perspective, how storage benefits renewable energy assets? What are the different route to markets? How both generation and demand can actually benefit from having storage?
Yeah, actually, it's a quite easy question, complicated answer. First of all, there are different scenarios like home users, CNI, and big storages like utility scale. And there are many countries and many scenarios. So let's keep residential, and maybe let's start with the solution, big scale. As I said, that there are actually many kind of ancillary services. The basic split is trade services and system services. And I give you actually good two samples for both of them. Very good sample is, of course, Bulgaria for the trade services. Bulgaria became superstar, starting, let's say, from zero. And as we heard from several sessions today, there will be installed capacity very soon, surely over 100 megawatt hours. Another good sample where we actually started to sell those, let's say, big battery storages is Sweden, where we are selling actually more than 1 year. The installed capacity is also, let's say, 100 megawatt hours. There is a different kind of service. This is the frequency services, which are a little bit more profitable than arbitrage. And I'm glad we started there. So we collected plenty of, let's say, references and also the experience, so which we would like actually to bring to other countries. And then actually, we can't say it flatly, but many countries, like even, let's say, small countries like Estonia, they install batteries for the trade services, but hoping they can switch later on frequency services. The same situation is in Czech Republic, slightly different. We still don't have the support for frequency services. With what I said again, it's really highly profitable, but they are installation based of let's say trade services. They are installation actually for the CNI, even for the larger projects. And CNI is something what I see really big potential for all countries, and maybe it's still a little bit underestimated, but I can say that we can see flatly markets all over the Europe for those systems. And this is really great because mostly actually it starts to be based on energy consumption optimization, which actually mostly means savings, but actually our systems are prepared for the future, so our clients can later on participate on spot market or the frequency regulation and so on. So it's really exciting, and it's not easy to actually say it flatly. So the really important thing is to make analysis. As I said, we started as a distribution company, so many people from here know me from before, like maybe some of them for 12 years. But actually, as we started to sell storage systems, the big storage systems, we find out that there are many clients, many businesses interested in, but they didn't know what size of storage and what to do with the storage. And we came there and we said, oh, we don't know too. So we really started to analyze the problems. We actually hired experienced experts, do analysis, do measurements, and really scrutinize the problems. And now we see how different it is. And as I said,
so
we
it's
can...
a very differentiated case.
Very differentiated. So you really have to go to detail to each business and make the analysis. So my recommendation for all of you, do not underestimate the CNI market, but you have to go for analysis to be able to recommend good solution for the client.
Absolutely. Use case is key when you're planning any kind of storage. I'm really glad that you touched upon system services because we have on stage the largest producer of renewable energy in Bulgaria and also the largest producer, provider of system services. So Martin, could you chip in and tell us how the market in Bulgaria is currently structured for system services? How are you providing services there? Do you see some kind of interplay or new markets to be opened in, I don't know, future time? How do you operate and what are your investment plans for the National Electricity Company?
So I'm very proud that our company is actually both the largest producer from renewable sources of electricity, at the same time green storage operator using these hydro resources, and in third aspect supporting the further integration of renewables. So I believe that we have currently quite important role and we are doing it very responsibly. We also provide, as you mentioned, thank you, more than 75% of the system services to the TSO. Last year were provided by our company, and we continue to provide this responsive role. I'm also very glad to be with such experts in battery-based energy storage, because I believe that the two, I'd say, most common at the moment, or in the short outlook technologies,
mature, let's say.
yes, mature already, are complementary and not competitors. We don't see as competition battery-based storage to our assets and our services. So we believe that each of these technologies has its advantages and, of course, weaknesses, which complement to a large extent each other. Biggest, of course, for pump storage, and actually it's not only the pump storage which provides storage, it's also the hydropower plants with their dams, actually not short-term, not daily, weekly, sometimes multi-yearly storage of electricity, of hydro resources, which is quite crucial because we see these days outside, sun is not so common. Prices on the exchange, on the day ahead, on the intraday markets, we don't see many arbitrage possibilities. So for such periods also there should be technology to support the stable operation of the network, of course affordable prices, consumers, and of course to investors in renewables to support to some extent the capture price, which is one of the, we saw also in the opening presentation, one of the roles of energy storage in total. If we speak about the Bulgarian market of system services, you had also the chance to talk to the head of the dispatching center of the TSO. What we experience is possibilities for improvement, let's say, is that until very recently there was a significant cap on the price of balancing energy, which is being delivered to the TSO, which I believe is one of the key reasons why Bulgaria is still in delay with the implementation of new storage systems. It's good that our energy regulator already improved this aspect. So now this cap is not anymore in place, and I believe that this will provide much better investment environment. We saw also in the presentation, of course, the excellent possibilities for arbitrage, for commercial arbitrage with storage. And with the further increase of renewables, I believe that, and also phasing out of some conventional power plants, which now also provide some system services, and commercial, let's say, balancing of the market, this will further improve. And I believe that we saw also Greece, with whom we are in market coupling with quite large cross-border capacity, that this aspect, this opportunity for storage will and demand for storage will stay in place, and further with the hopeful integration of the balancing markets, although there is some delay of the Picasso and Mari projects, we believe that these possibilities will further increase.
We'll open the markets for more participants. And Thomas, last but not least, I want you to complement a little bit of everything that you heard already on stage. Siemens' technological expertise stretches across the whole value chain on grids and storage. And we heard already about the importance of having your use case analyzed at the beginning, so you choose the right technology and the right approach to market. What's your take on this? How actually someone who wants to invest in storage now and has any renewable assets, what they should consider before making a decision where to invest and how?
Sure. And I'm quite glad the discussion turned around the use cases with the last two participants, because this is what I'll be going into the technology part in a minute, but for the use cases, it's really a matter on which markets you want to tap into. I realized from the participants list, there are a couple of energy traders in the room as well, so I'm quite sure you're following not just the Bulgarian market, but also the surrounding markets. And what we see from our customers is really the breadth of use cases you can tap into. It's starting from the classic arbitrage, everything everybody has in mind from the first place, then all the balancing services, but then we also go into the topic of what's been mentioned in the earlier panel from the transmission operator, provision of inertia. So if we shut down the conventional power plants, we suddenly have a gap and this needs to be filled, and very obviously battery only can't cope with this. Yeah? So this is a use case, and then we're talking about all the different industry use cases you can picture. Yeah? Let's say peak shaving, you have an industrial customer with a very cyclic operation. So how could you combine this with actually battery assets or energy storage assets to help optimize the operation? And when we look into the technology part, I'm quite sure you've seen a graph like this or a similar one with just let's say the discharge duration on the one axis and the size of the energy storage system on the other axis. And if we would move, let's say, from short to long and from small to big, we'll start off with something like a flywheel probably, so available in milliseconds, rotating generators, so that's pretty much the replacement for the conventional rotating equipment. We're moving on to battery energy storage, which covers quite a broad range, between whatever, 30 minutes to 4 hours plus. We also have pumped hydro, that's nicely, as you described, tapping into the extra long-term storage, but we also see other long-term storage technologies, such as hydrogen in the end, yeah? And the talk was also about curtailment of renewable energy, so why not combine the renewable assets instead of having them curtailed, but through electrolyzers produce H2, and then suddenly you tap into the new long-term energy storage market. And lastly, and this has been very briefly touched on the chemistry, so what we as Siemens Energy do as well, we have quite an extensive R&D team on the topic, and we're not only looking into battery energy storage, but we're also looking into the alternative technologies, so be it chemistry, be it redox flow batteries, be it a variety of technologies coming up into the market, and that's really what we're sensing and analyzing, and then trying to paint the picture for the customer. But going back, it's really depending on the use case to start with.
Yeah, use case is absolutely key. I think that we kind of confused everyone with the complexity of decisions and data that needs to be analyzed before an investment is actually realized. So maybe, Sepehr, could you elaborate a little bit on this again, about the use cases that you see in Southeastern Europe, in Bulgaria, Greece, besides arbitrage? Is there anything else currently, and what do you project, for example, for the market to develop?
So far, what I understood from the panel is that there are lots of positive discussion to try to fully liberalize the power market in Bulgaria, or in general, southeast part. I mean, if that happens, we can kind of bring some stores from, let's say, UK or from Nord Pool, which is operating in the Nordics, which currently everything is liberalized. It could be, let's say, a frequency market for even up frequency and down frequency, and there's going to be different prices for each one, which batteries, or more specifically energy storage, fit for both. Like, they can both absorb the power and they can generate the power, so they can participate in both of the markets. I mean, that's one of the advantages that battery can play. So I would say if this market happens, having the FCR up frequency for the storage system would be another option, which going to be even more profitable from the energy arbitrage. But there's going to be some challenges in that market as well. You need to kind of operate your system almost live. You need to get access to the data from the TSOs live to be able to plan for your storage and also plan before acting. Like you need to have charge or let's say extra capacity in your system to be able to absorb. So that's going to be more difficult market, but more profitable. Like there's going to be more challenges and more profitable. But energy arbitrage is going to be, let's say, a little bit simplified. Like we know what's going to happen. We can't forecast the weather situation for next week, but at least we have a good clarity for the next day. And that fits with the day-ahead prices as well. Like once we have the fully liberalized power market, it can be the baseline for the energy storage system to secure the revenues. And at the same time, once there is a live data for the frequency services, it can add on top of the energy arbitrage revenues. And basically, it's going to be the revenue stacking dilemma that has been the challenge for the batteries.
Yes, revenue stacking is really a dilemma in our markets, I would say, because most of the revenue streams are not as readily available to battery energy storage. So I guess we will start with co-location first. Does anyone else from the panelists want to elaborate a little bit on how they see the Southeastern Europe market for storage developing in the next few years? It's a tough question, I know. By the way, can we put up the Slido again to gather a little bit of questions from the audience? Martina, I will put you on the spotlight again until everyone else is thinking, because I know that the National Electricity Company has some investment plans in the pipeline, and you are considering some complementary investments in storage, both in hydro pumped and battery. And also we are waiting for update, of course, on Chayira. How is the repair program developing?
So I'll start with the last part of the question, which is the most current, let's say, development. Finally, luckily, we are, since maybe during the last 12 months, on a very good track with the recovery of the pump storage power plant in Chayira. There are ongoing works there performed by leading international companies, experts in this aspect, in this technology, and we expect by the end of the year one of the units there, which is close to 200 megawatts, to be back online, the others being also in approximately 1 year for the steps as next stages, which will be quite important development for us once realized. Of course, in parallel, we are developing also, as Mariyana mentioned, additional storage projects, because we see our competence mainly in storage and in hydropower. But as I mentioned also, we see also battery-based storage complementary. This is why we're developing also pilot projects for battery-based energy storage to locate it at the site of a hydropower plant, actually, to complement the two technologies and also to have, of course, more efficient grid connection, more efficient use of the available grid connection. The two large projects for pump storage which we develop, of course, this is another difference which I missed to mention between pump storage and battery-based. The time for preparation and design and construction, execution to commissioning of a project in hydropower, especially for larger scale, 8-10 years, with good planning and with supporting institutions, which in Bulgaria is not always the case, the best case, unfortunately, while with battery-based, there is a much shorter and lighter, let's say, more easy process. So these two large projects, which if they develop according to the current expectations in the pre-feasibility study, are for 2 pump storage power plants, each of 800 megawatts installed capacity. This should be online in 2030 and 2032. And they have quite significant, even for European level, storage capacity of more than 35 gigawatt hours. They will be constructed between existing dams, so the capex of the construction of dams, which is one of the really very heavy items in the investment, is already in place. So we are very positive and optimistic about this new asset.
I am too optimistic about the market because the trend is very clear. We are moving a little bit slower in Southeastern Europe, not only in Bulgaria, but other countries as well. But the power market and especially the grid management is something that evolves at a slower speed because we need to keep stability. This is key. So you see our questions from the audience, they're quite in the direction that we already discussed. But feel free, anyone who wants to answer. I will read it aloud. Where are the main challenges for energy storage systems market in Southeast Europe? And where do we see the largest opportunity for co-located storage in Bulgaria?
Maybe I take this one to begin with, yeah. So on the co-located topic, or you might want to call it hybrid, yeah, it's not just the market drivers I see. We also, if you look into the neighboring countries, regulation is changing, so you might be actually forced as a developer to include a certain extent of energy storage in your PV park, wind park, whatever it means, depending on the local regulator. And the way we as Siemens Energy see co-located or hybrid as well is not just linking batteries with PV, but also linking batteries with conventional power generation as an example, or putting it into industrial environments where you can actually benefit with the batteries, leveraging on the existing assets and actually either get your costs down on existing assets or increase revenue on some other topics. And the main challenges in the market, I think, is really, we refer to the financial viability and the available use cases for customers to make this financeable in the end, as we heard last night on the last panel, right?
I would like to add something. I totally agree with you. But what I've seen is the main challenge, that, as my colleague has said, is the regulatory framework. And this is very important to have this regulatory framework, which are the objectives very clear. And also it's very important, it's a pillar to have this regulatory framework that provides you with the incentives. Which are the incentives that this investment are going to perceive? This is very, very important because from other events and talking to clients, when you don't have clear which are going to be your incentives, at the end, they are not bankable. So if you go to a market that there are not, for example, capacity revenues or going to ancillary services, etc., you cannot receive any incentive from this investment, or at least it's not easy supporting with a framework. It's not going to work. And also, well, the capex is also really, really important. As much money we can save from the capex, as much important. And I will also say that we need also the people to get knowledge from the storage, because, well, as there are a lot of knowledge for renewables installation, but for the batteries business is not so developed so far. So I think the countries are learning, and the people, people working for renewables are working since we are doing. So there are some challenges, but if I have to highlight something, is the 3 pillars for me will be regulatory framework, incentives, and capex. This will be a general challenge for the market.
It's not an easy equation still to solve for most of the developers of such projects. Anyone else who wants to take the stand, or if anyone from the audience wants to ask a question live, we have a microphone here.
Yes, Thibaut Bourg from Camden Advisory. How do you assess investors' appetite for storage systems in the region?
Anyone wants to take it?
Nicola here. May I just add on the previous question and make it a bit more specific? Maybe to ask Photomate and Jinko. So you are actually on the supply side. So what is your anticipation? What is going to be the regional market in the next couple of years? So both of you have had previous experience, especially Michal here was probably 15 years ago covering these markets. Now, with storage is what we had, let's say, back then with solar components. So what is the market going to look like in the next couple of years? Probably you already have had some significant quantities contracted. How do you see
Maybe
it evolving?
let me start. Do you hear me? Yeah. Actually, Nikolai is a good sample as I talk about it. That I'm glad to meet the old friends after I don't know how many years. So, yeah, actually, I would say the potential for storage, specifically battery storage, I believe is really everywhere. I'm really excited how it works. And I told you we have actually products from home, CNI and utility, and both of them are just exploding. As I said, maybe I said the number before, as I prepared some thoughts for this presentation, I checked our data, and in a really short period, we sold 1 gigawatt hour of batteries. It started huge with the residential, which is actually maybe the easiest because in many countries there are subsidies for photovoltaic, partly for batteries too. And it makes a lot of sense for clients to install battery, to save cost, and many people are also looking to have the off-grid function. Then actually we started with the large storages, and again it goes from country to country and it starts and makes sense everywhere. As I said, good sample Bulgaria, good sample Sweden or Scandinavia in total, but we see there will be a big potential in Czech Republic, Hungary, and so on, because actually there is need of grid stabilization. But again, what I really maybe like the most, this is the CNI scenario, where I see really flatly in every country there is huge potential, even without any subsidies. Maybe we really still don't see the potential because it's really huge. Let me give you a sample. I went last weekend for a village football play, and I met a friend of mine because we are both little sponsors of the football team, and we discussed drinking a beer together. And my friend actually has a little business. They are producing furniture, and they are quite successful. They have like 60 people, and they started with photovoltaic. They installed 30 kilowatt hours only, so really small. And these 30 kilowatt hours, they really don't need any storage because they consume it from scratch from the consumption they have during the day. But the business actually is growing. They have a new hall. They installed another 30 kilowatt peak photovoltaic installation. They actually bought new equipment. They have more consumption, and now they have problem because they are actually not able to run all the equipment as they want because they have not enough power from the grid operator. So I told him, have us have a look on your problem. I make it short. We make some measurements, and actually we solved him all problems, so he can run his equipment how he needs to satisfy his clients, and on top he can make money because he can make the self-consumption optimization, and he is actually ready to in the future participate on spot market trading, for example. So this is something what you can do or what almost every business need. But as I said before, it's not like flat recommendation, like you have 50 kilowatt peak installation, you need 100 kilowatt hour storage. It's not like this. You really need to go deeper, make the analysis. And this is the process we made at Photomate, but later on we saw also the analysis itself is also not good enough, because if you know what to do, how to let's say control the consumption, how to control the production, the balancing of the battery, but then you need to control it. So the next step we made in Photomate, we actually acquired a software company, and right now we are actually able to control over our own EMS, including RTU unit. And this is something what actually is very connected to the previous session, which made me really exciting. It's the data, energy data. And if you really make the control smart, the businesses can profit from this. And actually, for the CNI, I see huge potential, which we maybe don't see right now. And our clients or the CNI businesses, they still don't see it. They don't know they can get solution and they can profit from battery storage. So we have to explain them, we have to tell them, and then we profit all.
Hopefully so. Lucia,
So,
can you add
bright future.
something?
So let's see in 1 or 2 years as we meet here again what will happen, because
But
right now I'm really excited how
I see
it's
the
moving
sorry.
fast and forward. Yeah.
I see the CNA market very interesting, because although you always thinking about backup collocated solutions or even standalone solutions, with the CNA solution for storage is really interesting, because when you are dealing with the permitting issues, having already the grid connection permit have already. So this moves faster the way to collocate a storage system at a CNA level. So I think really the market for CNA is really interesting, and also, well, don't forget about the electric vehicles. So for charging electric vehicles, that we are moving to that market also, is really an interesting solution also for backup, peak saving, arbitrage. So the role of storage for CNA is really interesting. In fact, we are seeing an increased demand on this sector and market. And of course, well, utility scale also, for we have already commented, collocated is really much more demanding from the policy. If you have really a policy framework in the countries, most of the renewable installations are also requests with storage. So I think, well, following what is happening in UK, in Germany, that are let's say the top markets in Europe, that will follow maybe Italy, Spain, Greece, Poland also, and some of Hungary also has really interesting goals for 2030. The technology is ready, and we will be improving, and the market is like really willing to incorporate a storage solution in all the possibilities.
Absolutely, it's a nice wrap up actually for our panel. Indeed, no one wants it to share a sales target for Southeastern Europe, but a little bit disappointed, I have to say. But indeed, it's a difficult equation, because it includes a lot of analysis on regulatory, on market, on data that you are able to operate, how to secure it in terms of cybersecurity as well. But my closing words, while you think of yours, are those that our market, power market, is evolving quite fast over the last few years, and it's a global trend. Some of the, I say, policymakers still think that battery energy storage is a drop in the ocean. But in fact, over the last 3 years, battery energy storage has catch up with hydro, and it's expected to outpace the development of hydro pumped storage next year, actually, in terms of installed capacity, which is over 200 gigawatts worldwide. We heard from Martin that it's a different development framework, but the two technologies are actually complementary, and there are other storage technologies too that can help with grid stability. And as we pick up the low-hanging fruits in, I would say, collocation and arbitrage for battery storage, the really difficult problems about solving grid stability are still in development. So we will see quite a fast and quick development on this market. And I would like to allow each participant now to share closing words, their takeaway from our discussion today, and what would be your message actually to our participants before we go to lunch and networking.
So far, from my understanding, is that technology is there, capex is decreasing, which is good. There's a kind of opportunities for kind of gaining the revenues, but all of these are, let's say, are behind a big door, which is the market regulatory and the frameworks. So I would say once this big door is open, the framework is transparent and accessible for everyone, every players, then we can kind of expect that the energy storage market ramping up in most of the European countries. So let's hope for that one.
A great integration.
I will highlight that the technology is there, we are there, the capex is increasing. We are doing a quite big effort to keep on this tendency that decreasing the price. And we can provide to the market a really reliable product with good quality. And well, we are prepared to supply all the necessities for storage for the European countries. We are there.
I will try a bit still to cool down this excitement which we see in the room about large capacities installed. I believe that projects, in order to be successful, they should be professionally managed and professionally planned, especially for smaller storage. I see the challenge that owners, operators will not be able to efficiently manage them, and probably there will be new market niche for aggregators or other professional service providers. Of course, this can be to some extent automatic. I believe that all investors should be quite cautious to avoid cannibalization in this service, as we see with the photovoltaic. And at least my expectation is that in few years, the banks, when financing battery-based storage, will be asking for kind of PPAs or whatever forms of guaranteeing the revenues of these investments.
I'd like to take maybe a little bit of a different twist. Agree with the statements on the batteries and the project management and stuff, but we heard before, grid stability is key. So I'd like to add to this, grid connection is also key. And I know the room is already keeping my local colleagues in Sofia quite busy with everything regarding transformers, switchgears, etc. So don't lose sight when you plan the project of just focusing on the battery, but also think of the grid connection part.
Absolutely. And how we manage it. And Mikhail?
Yeah, actually, I would say takeaways, do not underestimate the CNI market. Do not underestimate the analysis, which is really necessary. We are happy to help you with, support you. And yeah, focus also on the right energy management system. Thank you.
Thank you too. I think it was a nice discussion. I enjoyed it. I hope that the audience enjoyed it too. And before we go to lunch, last announcement, we have a visit to a demonstration battery energy system, but it is with separate registration due to the high interest. So those of you who have received confirmation from our partners at IPS, please proceed at 1 o'clock and 13:30, yeah, 1:30. Please proceed to the exit. There will be people guiding you to the buses who are outside. And if anyone has received registration but is not able to come at the tour, please contact them to make them know that you're not coming on the tour. That is from me. We stay for a group photo on the panel, and you are now free to go networking and enjoy the lunch. Thank you very much.